Welcome to Not Another PD, the podcast for helping professionals who are over dull trainings and death by slideshow workshops. I'm Jasmine Purcell, social worker, coach, supervisor, and self-proclaimed boundaries queen. Each week, you'll hear real, honest conversations, sometimes solo, sometimes with expert guests. Think insider perspectives, practical takeaways, and a focus on your well-being, not just how you show up for clients. This podcast is about you, the human behind the caseload, the human behind the profession. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Episode 6. Welcome everyone to Not Another PD. I'm so excited and absolutely elated to introduce you all to Tracey Lindsay. So Tracey is a counsellor and personal development coach who works with mums and women who know they want more from life but aren't sure how to get there. She helps women who are juggling too much, feeling stuck, or constantly putting everyone else first to help them get clear on what matters to them and take practical steps to make change happen. Through her guidance and her Ignite and Grow membership, Tracey helps women feel in control of their lives and confident in the choices they make. Welcome, Tracey. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm just so honoured that you were able to carve out even a small amount of time in your really busy schedule, because I know not only are you a counsellor and coach, but you're also a fellow mum. So I can only imagine how busy you are. So thank you.
Yes, no, it is a very busy life, but I wouldn't change anything. I also have a
Amazing.
FIFO husband, so I can relate to those that have, the solo mums for a week and things like that. So it's always a juggle, but it keeps things interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're doing amazing work. So thanks so much. And our listeners are helping professionals like us, who a lot of them do identify as women, and they do struggle with a lot of those things that you help your clients with. So Tracey, what does it mean to create values-aligned goals, and why is this so important for helping professionals like us?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, goals really need to reflect what actually matters to you, not just what you should do. So, sometimes we are following goals that our parents or that we've grown up with feeling like we have to achieve. So, it's actually important to look at that and what we actually want to, what's mattering to us. And that usually aligns with our values. So many helping professionals chase goals based on clients, bosses, or expectations, and that really sticks and it doesn't work long term. When goals match your values, they're a lot easier to stick to. They actually feel easier and that you don't feel that resistance. They don't feel as hard to achieve.
Values is something that also is so, important in the work that I do as well. And I use a lot of ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, both in my own life, but also with the professional clients that I work with. But what's an example of a goal that either you yourself have set or one of your clients that actually matches their values?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one because a lot of the time people are wanting to, say for example, in the workplace, you're wanting to put in extra effort, you're wanting to build your business, you're wanting to, go above and beyond. Just say that your goal is growing your business and putting in all this extra effort, you might end up working like an 80-hour work week, doing nights
Yeah.
and weekends. And then that will go against your value of spending time with your family, for example. So when your values don't align with your goal, it creates this mismatch. And that's when we start to feel really unaligned. We just don't feel like it's right, even though it was the goal that we set in the first place.
That definitely makes sense, because it's almost like you're not living in accordance with your values or your sort of identified goals, and then you can
Yeah.
soon get sort of off track And you're, yeah, as you mentioned, you're really then living in like, misalignment with your values. And that's something that I see so often when helping professionals. They're really passionate about the work that they do, and it's some of their core values are around helping others, often people who are disadvantaged for a number of reasons or factors, but then they often overgive in their professional role, but then they're also clashing with some of my core values around spending time with my family because I'm putting so many hours into this work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you absolutely nailed that. And that's where I think people start to get, that's your first signs of burnout generally. People
Yeah.
are burning out quickly because they're actually doing work that's misaligned with their values. And it's not the work that they're actually doing, it might be the quantity, or the fact that it's, wearing them thin a little bit. And a lot of people actually don't know their core values, which is
Yeah.
astonishing to me.
Yes, it
I'm like,
really is. Yes.
yeah, it's like a bit of a GPS tracker, like of your life. If you're not really sure what's important to you, and we can say our family is important to us and this is important, but if we really don't feel it and we don't understand what those core values are, so quality time with our family, so family is not actually value, family is the vehicle to get to the value. So the value might be quality time that you like to spend with your family. So the family, it could be friends, so you're valuing that quality time, whereas the friends or the family actually get you to that value. So I like of it as um, you're sort of guiding your GPS basically. I'm a very visual person, so it makes me realize, okay, if I was to jump in my car and I wanted to go towards a goal, then I need to know A, where I am. I need to know B, where I want to go. And I need to know why. The values come into that why factor. They come into why do I want this for myself? So that's really important to look at. I know we're all in the helping area, and it's so nice to give to other people, and that's where a lot of people are actually not giving back to themselves either, so like that
Yes.
putting themselves last, and then of course that derails everything else that they're working towards as well. So, and it
Yes.
doesn't feel easy, it shouldn't, I mean, not like life's not easy obviously sometimes, but it shouldn't feel like you're going against the grain all the time.
To use your analogy of that you're in your car and then you don't know the direction you're going, it's sort of like if you move to a new suburb and so you're still becoming familiar with where the shops are, where everything is, and you just randomly get in your car and you're like, oh, I'll figure it out. But then you
Yeah.
soon get lost and you could end up down like a no through road or all sorts of things. And then I know for myself when I've got lost while driving and I've got the worst sense of direction in the world. Maps even don't help me really. But then I end up getting more and more flustered because I'm like driving around. I have no idea where I'm going. So I can imagine someone who is going through their work day or their life and not having some kind of goals and not being sure about where they're heading, then they could soon start to get quite flustered and overwhelmed. So I'm so glad that we're talking about this, Tracey, and this is a huge reason why I created my monthly wellbeing membership Beyond the Caseload for helping professionals like us, and this focuses on their well-being outside of their professional role. And I'm also so thrilled and honored that you'll actually be teaching your goal setting framework inside my membership Beyond the Caseload. Can you
Yeah.
just give us a little bit, I know you'll be going into more detail inside my membership, but could you just give us a preview of what your goal setting framework looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. This is exciting. So I try to make goal setting a little bit more fun. And I know it can be tedious, but there's a reason that it's tedious, is because we feel like a lot of the time when we set goals, we've got that fear comes up. Can I
Yeah.
actually achieve this? Is this possible for me? What if I fail? What if I succeed? So there's all these fears that start to come up. And also, we were quite often forced to do it in workplaces, corporate places, possibly. You may have had that experience
Yeah.
and gone, oh, like it's another PD day. And it can be a little bit tedious, just sort of forced to just do the boring old tick the boxes and write out your goals. And it didn't really mean and didn't feel right. So my system is reflect, which is looking back at the past of why you didn't achieve the goals in the past that you may have set. And it's not about shaming or feeling bad about it. it's actually about going back and going, okay, was it actually my goal to be chasing? Was that aligned with any of my values? Was that achievable? Was it realistic? And you do New Year's resolutions, right?
Oh,
But
yes. I don't do them anymore, Tracy. I just do
no,
away with them
yeah,
now because I never
yeah,
achieve any of them. Not one,
yeah,
ever.
yeah. So the reason is because we feel like we have to. Oh, what's your New Year's resolution? Like we have to clasp and grasp for something. And so we just
Yes.
throw
Well, the
something out
pressure,
there.
isn't it? The pressure that you have
Yeah,
to say something when
shut.
someone asks you. I'm going to proudly
Exactly.
say this year or next year, I don't have one.
No. And you know what? The best time to start a goal is now. We don't need to wait till January 1 to start a goal. All right. So I think we need to sort of scrap that stuff. And it is nice to have that new energy, the new year energy, but it is not always the best time to actually sit down and set a goal. We've just got through Christmas. We've got all the chaos that's going on. So my way of doing that is to reflect on the past goals as to why we didn't achieve them. So Jasmine, like your past goals, why didn't you achieve those, so we'd look into that, and you'd write that down, and then you can understand it. Then we would set it, and I do use the SMART goals system. So like everyone knows SMART goals, and basically that is the SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, or sometimes people say relevant or realistic, and then also time bound. So it also helps it keep it memorable, and it's easy to sort of process through them. Now, I have an extra step on the top as well, which is then we refine them. So we refine the goals to really look at that, see if the ecology is there. So go, okay, if I'm doing the 80-hour weeks, does that mean that's going to affect my relationships? Is it going to affect my relationships with my husband or my partner? Is that going to affect the relationships with my kids? Okay, possibly, right? So maybe I could dial that back and sort of really refining that goal to make it work for you. So not just a structured plan and be like, yeah, yeah, ticked all the boxes, to really refine it and go, actually, does this fit with my life? I want to make $1 million in business by the end of the year. Do you have the resources to do that? Do you even have a business yet? So it's
Yeah.
being realistic, but also having big dreams too, because we've all got to have that big vision. And it's not about like putting a dampener on your goals, because if we set goals that are too easy and too achievable, then we sort of lose that momentum as well. It's really about finding that happy medium and something that really gives you that motivation to keep striving, but then also isn't too big so that it actually does the opposite and demotivates you.
Yes, that's exactly right. Thanks so much, Tracy, for explaining your framework. What are some of the biggest barriers or mindset blocks that you see in helping professionals when it comes to achieving their goals? Why do we struggle with this?
I've noticed a pattern with helping professionals, which is interesting. And I think it's because we like to help and we like to please and do things for other people. However, there are some patterns for sure compared to other people that are maybe not in the same industry. Some of the patterns I've seen is perfectionism. So either waiting for the perfect time, procrastinating in a sense that you're perfecting everything, that it actually leads to inaction, which is the biggest barrier with perfectionism. People pleasing is another one. So putting other people first, obviously in the helping industry, we do help put other people first all the time, and we quite often forget to look after ourselves. I have struggled with in the past, and I feel like I'm a recovering people pleaser, but look,
Oh,
oh, it's so tricky, but it's not about having a bath or a day going to a day spa. That's not self-care. I think we need to remember to put ourselves first and put in boundaries as well. And that kind of leads me into difficulty saying no. So weak boundaries or um, feeling overloaded. So not so much overwhelmed. And I've actually just done a module on this as well. So it's overwhelmed versus overloaded. A lot of us are overloaded because we're not saying no. We don't know how to put those boundaries in place. Quite often that does lead to overwhelm. So a
yeah.
lot of the time we're getting overwhelmed and we've got too many things where getting flustered and it actually leads to inaction again. or they don't know what their core values are. So it's back to the values again. So it's basically just
everything leads back to, I feel like all roads lead back to the values, that we really need to become familiar on what our values are before we can really move forward. Tracey, I do have a signature boundaries question that I ask every guest. So I'm going to ask you as well. What is one non-negotiable boundary for you as a helping professional?
I'm actually getting much better. I am very, very good at basically as soon as school time is finished, I've picked up the kids, I put my phone down. So I will not prioritize anything over the kids. I'm very conscious of not being glued to my phone or a laptop when the kids are present, because I think that's a knock-on effect to other issues there. However, I have friends or clients, workplace people messaging me at 9 o'clock at night, and it does happen. I will not reply. I go to bed at like 9 o'clock. So sometimes I see a message.
That's amazing. Good for you. That's one of the things I need to work on is my bedtime routine.
Yes. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a beautiful 10-step Instagram worthy bedtime routine. It just needs to be right. At this time, I spend time with my husband, my kids, and once they've gone to bed, that is my time. I actually am very strong with that boundary. So that's probably the biggest one, is the phones. We've got our businesses on our phones with us in our pocket all the time, so we can easily access it. And just being really conscious and mindful about it, being really intentional is the key there. I also have a dedicated office in my home, so I work from home. So I make sure that door is shut. It's the silly little things that don't feel like they make a difference, but this room is my office and the rest of the house is my house and my home. And so I shut the door, and that is work finished for the day. Okay. So that's another good one as well, is keeping work on the laptop or the computer or wherever you might be, and not bringing it home on your phone.
Because a lot of people do work from home, or they have those hybrid ways in which they work from home some days and then other days they're working from an office or a clinic setting. So it's amazing that, you're actually saying, well, separate this workspace from the rest of your house and actually close the door. Or if you're not fortunate enough to have a separate home office, even some of those steps you mentioned, like, closing the laptop, turning off the light in the room that you normally work from, and then you exit, and then you're no longer in that professional mode. You're now just living your life in your home. So thank you so much, Tracey. Could you let people know how they can connect with you and a little bit more about your Ignite and Grow membership?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm probably on Instagram is the easiest way to get me. And that's at Tracey, Tracey _ Lindsay, Lindsay. But I'm sure Jazz will put it in the show notes with an underscore at the end. And I have Ignite and Grow, which is a membership that has just been launched. I've had some beta testers through, and they are loving it so far. So it's really perfect for beginners in personal development, people wanting to learn more about themselves. It's got little modules. Some of them are short, some of them are longer. So such as the goal setting type masterclasses, where you've got a little bit more time to work on yourself. And there's also my favorite, and so far the favorite of a lot of the members, are the fire extinguisher. We have little fire extinguishers, which are nice little 2 or 3 minute meditations or little love notes or just prompts that are just nice to jump in when you feel like you're getting a little bit ragey or a little bit upset, or you're struggling with anything, you just need some help straight away. That is the perfect thing to jump into. So yeah, we're growing pretty quickly in there, and so far we've got some great feedback. So I'm loving to see that grow.
Tracey, thanks so much for being here. And if you'd like to connect with Tracey or explore her Ignite and Grow membership, you'll find all the links in the show notes. And if you're a member of my Beyond the Caseload program, keep an eye out for Tracey's upcoming masterclass, where she'll actually walk you through her full goal setting framework. Thank you so much, Tracey, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to Not Another PD. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a colleague who could use stronger boundaries, less burnout, and more balance. And don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, keep saying yes less.